This Impact Wrestling review was brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Try it for free right now on the WWE Network. Wow. What a difference a change of venue makes, huh? Holy shit. Well, I'll give TNA this. I did like how they made a bit of a spectacle out of the return of the Six-Sided Ring. Some pyro would have enhanced that a lot, but that's not in the budget right now. Still, I thought it was cool the way they presented that. And I'm sure there were tons of fanboys that were screaming and squeeing and pissing themselves with glee that the Six-Sided Ring was finally back. I was kind of on the fence about it. I always liked the Six-Sided Ring. I never wanted them to get rid of it in the first place. I thought it was a big part of TNA's identity. But since it's been gone, I've learned from a number of wrestlers that the four-sided ring is much easier on their bodies, causes less wear and tear, is easier to move around in. And in my opinion, those things are more important than what shape the fans want the ring to be. Had it been up to me, I would let the wrestlers decide what ring to use. I prefer a six-sided ring, but I'm not taking bumps in it. Now, that being said, it was really nice to see it again. The six-sided ring is different. It's an attention grabber. It's one of the things that drew me to the company in the first place because of all that, and I don't think I was the only one. And if nothing else, having it back now does feel like a giant fuck you to the Hogan-Bischoff regime, and that puts a smile on my face.
Yes! 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 Yes!
Man, I can't even remember the last time we had such a wrestling-heavy Impact. Or a show that was structured quite like this. This episode was literally talking segment, match, 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 talking segment, the end. So wrestling diehards got their fix this week. Unfortunately, I have to be that guy for this review. First, let me say this. I enjoyed this show a lot. I thought it was an excellent Impact. But they were hitting the wrestling aspect very hard here. And contrary to what certain people in the business who shall remain nameless might believe, I don't want 2 straight hours of wrestling any more than I want 2 straight hours of talking. Ideally, you need to have a good mix of the two, and I think that got a little bit lost here. I thought this was easily one of the strongest, if not the strongest, Impact in recent memory, but I wouldn't want to have this particular type of show every week. Having a very wrestling-heavy show or a very talking-heavy show once in a while is fine, but I think where TNA should be aiming for most of the time is somewhere in the middle. Well, if you were an ECW fan, you probably loved this Impact. If you weren't an ECW fan, you probably still loved it. I thought it was pretty damn good. But I do have a bone to pick with this ECW stuff. I'm sorry, I'm just not into this. I get that they're doing this to cater to the New York fans because it was an ECW town, and I'm not saying it didn't work. But can you really think of no better way to get heat in this market than by raising the specter of a company that went out of business over a decade ago and whose brand is now owned by the WWE? Remember the last iteration of ECW we saw? That bastardized bullshit on the Sci-Fi Channel? You really feel like chanting ECW after that? You're more than welcome to. I just wish TNA wouldn't encourage it on their show. So this was kind of the same deal as last week. The opening segment was not bad, everyone's promos were good, especially EC3, clearly having so much fun pooning those disrespectful New York fans. The big crapple. Classic EC3. But while there was nothing technically wrong with any of this, when they play up the ECW stuff and the ECW comparisons to TNA to this extent, I just get kind of impatient with it. Now, once the match started, I was fine with it, although this match was arguably the weak point of the show. But it did have the right finish, thanks to Rockstar Spud putting a stop to Tommy Dreamer's blatant cheating. The young guy, the real star in this match, the hardcore American icon of wrestling, went over as he should.
Yes!
Yeah, you suck on that, Dreamer. You can talk all the shit you want, but when it came time to walk the walk, You just didn't know who you were up against. Really fun Gauntlet match here. I can't remember the last time an X Division match went so long on TV. Really refreshing to see the division get some actual focus for a change. God damn, we don't see that much anymore. No complaints about the wrestling from me here, though there didn't seem to be much story to it other than putting Austin Aries over strong before he cashes in option C, which is important. You want him to look like a stud when he goes up against Lashley, so I was cool with that. I was also happy to see some progression with the Sonata James Storm angle, and to see that it's clearly building up to something. It is a little frustrating that it took Sonata losing the X Division title to finally get a storyline of some kind, but hey, that's more than the X Division guys usually get. There may be a risk of this Bobby Roode Eric Young versus MVP Kenny King feud dragging too much. A lot of this depends on when MVP is going to be 100%. They're kind of booking around his injury right now, and that's limiting what they can do with this. I didn't have a problem with the tag match or the DQ finish with the crutches, all things considered, but if we see too much stuff like this, I think it's going to feel like they're stalling before too long. Well, how about that? We actually get a good knockouts match when the beautiful people are not involved. Coincidence? Nope.
You guys suck.
I don't know why this match was no DQ. They didn't use the stipulation at all. Even the no countout thing was questionable. Pretty solid women's match otherwise, though. I enjoyed it, but I did not understand the finish for the life of me. Why is Madison Rayne going over here? This Brittany Madison feud just really got started, and you've already cut the heel's legs off. Why should the fans think Brittany is any kind of legitimate threat in this feud whatsoever if she never wins anything? How is she supposed to get over this way? This is stupid. And I will admit, Madison Rayne has been infinitely more tolerable as a babyface, but the fact remains the woman has not gotten over in 5 years. Why are you still protecting her so much? Come on, TNA, use your heads! And let the new girl get some fucking wins already!
Oh, my brother! Testify!
So, yeah. Still waiting for Gail Terran 3 to happen. Feel free to book that one anytime now, TNA. Just saying. I'm coming around on Lashley as the world champion, and it definitely helps that he's being booked so well. No chicken shit tactics, no underhanded stuff. He's a heel who can beat you clean because he's such a badass he doesn't need to cheat. It's not often we see heels like that these days, and I'm digging it so far. And this match was another check in the plus column for Lashley. I couldn't believe the bumps Jeff Hardy took here. That swanton onto the steel steps, oh my god. He'll be feeling that for weeks. Hats off to Jeff Hardy for going the extra mile. A+ for effort, man. Holy shit. A great main event that really deserved to actually get the main event spot. It's too bad it didn't. Though I thought it was hurt by the lack of fanfare. They did a good job making this look like a big deal at the end of last week's show, but this week there were no promos or interviews or pre-tapes or anything to build this up. There was the hype video to start the show, and that was pretty much it. And that's kind of a shame because I really thought it deserved more than that. Kind of weird to have 2 talking segments bookend a whole lot of wrestling this week. And again, they're playing up the ECW factor, so I'm not really into it that much. Though this did get a lot of heat. The reactions to everyone were great, up to and including the big spot that closed the show, so me not really digging this just comes down to personal preference, really. I can still acknowledge that everything seemed to click here very well. Although, I must take issue with that son of a bitch Devon returning illegally when he no longer works for TNA, breaking God knows how many rules and laws in the process to help bully Ray shamelessly, cowardly, deplorably put EC3 through a table? Motherfuckers!
How dare you?
Devon. What kind of despicable human being does a thing like that, I ask you? The man belongs in prison. Needless to say, Team 3D are in for a very rude awakening. Wrestling's greatest hero takes bigger bumps than that before breakfast. He'll hop right back up, laugh that scuffle off, and rest assured, there will be #justice for EC3 very soon. Because, as the old saying goes,
Shut up and follow me.
but in the meantime, Bully Ray crosses another name off his list. So right now, there is a ton of build-up leading to him putting Dixie through a table. No spoilers here, but it's at a point now where they really can't back out. They have to go through with this. They have to. But for that to happen, Spike would first have to back off the no male-on-female violence rule. To be continued on that. But if and when Bully actually does put Dixie through a table, that pop is going to be fucking nuclear. This was one of the best impacts in a long time, easily. A bit light in the story department, but everything was focused, everything had a purpose, and unlike the other show, they didn't try to insult our intelligence by beating us over the head with ridiculously over-the-top and intrusive product placement. I mean, you'd have to be really, really desperate and pathetic to do something like that. Oh my God, that's better than sex! It was pretty refreshing to get such a wrestling-heavy show here, and to see it do well viewership-wise too. And like I said, I wouldn't necessarily want to see Impact structured like this every single week, but done once in a while, shows like this can be a lot of fun, and that's what this was. Good job this week, TNA, good job. If the rest of the New York shows are on par with this one, then I should have very little to complain about for the next few weeks. Just try not to let the ECW stuff get out of control, okay? Later.